Hey, what's up? This is Nikia, and welcome to another episode of the Healing Crystal Academy. And this is all about altars, sacred spaces, and protection.
Hello and welcome. This is Laura Weigel, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys again. Ready for another lesson with the Crystal Healing Academy. So this is exciting. Today I wanted to talk to you about using crystals for protection. That is one of the biggest questions I get asked, is how to use crystals for protection and what crystals to use for protection. So think of it this way. We need to be grounded and rooted into the earth, and that is associated with our root chakra. And so normally, crystals associated with our root chakra tend to also be grounding and protective crystals. And one of them, and my favorite protective crystal, is smoky quartz. This is a gorgeous piece of smoky quartz. Smoky quartz also, it helps to deflect unwanted energies. And the reason I say unwanted energies is because in the world of energy, there's really no such thing as negative or positive energy. There just is. It's energy. And if it's unwanted and it's not serving us at that time, then we tend to label that as negative energy. So this is the number one crystal for deflecting those unwanted energies and protecting you and keeping you grounded. Because when we are surrounded sometimes by negative or unwanted energies, it's hard to stay grounded and connected. We want to go straight to our mind and we get looping with thoughts. So this is my number one crystal. Another amazing crystal for keeping us grounded and deflecting unwanted energies and also electromagnetic smog, okay? That is black tourmaline. These crystals I'm showing you are also readily available, and I place my black tourmaline by my computer, by my TV, because it does help to absorb the electromagnetic smogs coming out. Okay. Labradorite is another stone known for its protection. Here's a couple pieces of labradorite. Okay. And jaspers. Jaspers are known to be a very nurturing stone and very protective. According to in Chinese medicine, a lot of times they'll tell you to put a red jasper by your front door. And that, according to feng shui, a lot of people will do that. So how do you use these crystals to help protect you? Well, I gave you one tip, putting it by your computer or by your TV. So placing them in your home is one way to use these crystals to help with protection. And you do that intuitively. You know, you can, of course, go to feng shui and decide what the different corners and places of your home mean when deciding where to place them. A lot of people put them by their front door, protective crystals. A lot of people put them by their bed to protect them during dreams, especially if you're having trouble sleeping or having nightmares. So it also depends what's going on in your life. I personally like to wear my stones so that it's on me at all times, because the stones work best when they're in our energy field. So I like to wear them. I also like them to be touching my skin so that I can actually be absorbing the minerals in the crystals. So here is an example of some protective stones. This band right here, so for example, if I were going into a meeting at the school about my son William and I wasn't feeling grounded and I was feeling I needed to protect my energy, I might layer a bunch of these. So this is an African turquoise, which is actually just a jasper, okay? This is called fancy jasper. And this is another jasper. I don't know the particular name of it, possibly Red Creek jasper, but it doesn't matter. And this is leopard skin jasper. And here's one of my favorite jaspers. This is picture jasper. So some of the ways, just to recap, that you can use stones to help with your protection is you can wear them. You can place them in your pockets, and you can displace them in your home or in your office, and putting them around whenever you need that protection. A last way, and my bonus way to use crystals for protection, is to make a crystal grid, which we'll be doing a video on how to make a crystal grid. So those are my tips, and I hope you found this helpful.
Now, as you guys can see right behind me, that is my own personal altar. I created that altar as a space for meditation. Now, I have to be honest with you, I've been noticing I've been meditating more in my bedroom than here in my office/healing room. However, it still has such a beautiful sacred energy and sets the space for this room, because this is the room where I do healings on clients and where I make jewelry for clients. So there is my altar, and I use crystals all over that.
And Laura talked to you a lot about protection in the last episodes. So now I want to talk to you about sacred spaces. Before I started meditating, I had no clue about altars, sacred spaces, or any of this stuff. I always had this crystal collection. As I started to meditate a little bit more, I began to intuitively set up my crystals in certain patterns, and I later found out they were grids, but I started to set my crystals up in certain patterns, and I would realize that those patterns or those crystals helped me get deeper into my meditations. And I intuitively just start placing, crystals on different parts of my body. What I did was I designated a certain area that I would go and meditate in all the time. Like, that area was my meditation area. And I later found out that that area that I meditated in all the time was my sacred space. Like, that was my space, because that was the only thing I would do there. And anytime I got in that space, I felt connected. I felt like, okay, now's my time to go into meditation. Now's my time to connect. And that's why sacred spaces are so important, because when you go there, it's a reminder of whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is you're focusing on. It's even a reminder to meditate. And your sacred space can be a room, or it could be a certain area in your house if you don't have space for a whole room. Like I just had a little area in my house that I designated, because I didn't have a whole room to designate, but I had a little area that I designated. And within this sacred space, people place altars. And if you're working on something specific spiritually or mentally or even physically, you can take it and put it within your altar, and it helps to remind you to think positive thoughts about whatever it is that you are working on. So these altars can have whatever it is that reminds you to stay connected and to stay focused. People place sage, incense, statues, I place stones on mine. Like, that's usually what I place on my altar: stones, sage, and incense. And then if I'm working on anything, a manifestation board goes above my altar. Manifestation boards are so great. So on your altar, you can also place photos or figures, whatever it is, or even writings. Like, you can write things and place them on your altar. Whatever it is that reminds you to stay focused, stay connected, and to keep striving towards your goal is the things that you want to place on your altar. And the beauty of an altar is you can change your altar after you've manifested that focus of that altar, you can change your altar for the next goal or for your next focus. So that's the beauty of an altar. Now, in this homework, we are going to learn to create an altar, because an altar is very important in your crystal healing sessions. As you have seen with Laura, she has her altar and she has her sacred space. And within that space is where she creates her jewelry, she creates her healing, because that space is a space of positive energy, because it's a space of connection. And that's where you want to do your work from, your crystal healing work, your meditation work. You always want to do it in a space that you associate positive thoughts, protection, purity, those kind of things with, because that area helps keep your work pure. It helps you stay connected while you're doing the work to receive the higher guidance that you need to do the work. So that's why this space is so important. So we're going to create one. And in order to create one, grab your favorite crystals, grab anything that reminds you to stay connected to the universe. Just grab that and put it together. And then we'll have another video detailing how to create that altar in that sacred space. Because once you create that sacred space, we're going to start meditating in it to help you create a connection with your crystals, a connection to your higher self, and to hear the guidance you're receiving. Because the important thing that we want you to get from this class is that connection with the universe, because when you're connected, you can hear the guidance of the crystals and you understand intuitively what the crystals are saying, what crystals to use, and how to use them in any situation. Now, I'm about to show you a crystal grid, and this crystal grid, I didn't have a diagram for. I had no structure for. I didn't go look up stones. I didn't go read about any stones. What I did was I intuitively felt the stones that need to go in the grid. And usually I find out later why I placed the stones the way I did. And that's what your intuition is about. It's about doing things that you have no clue why you're doing them, but then later finding that answer, like the universe gives you that answer as to why. And when you find out why, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I listened to my intuition. That was so cool that I did that ahead of time. It was almost like I was psychic or something. But that right there is using your intuition. And I'll find out why I placed every stone the way I did. So I'm gonna show you my grid. Just give me 1 second and we'll go to that. I'll show you the grid, and this can start giving you ideas of how you want to create and make your altar. All right, stay tuned.